will drive young voters to the polls?
Yeah, definitely. The Florida legislature is going to start next week on the 9th, and there's many bills that's on the table, like HB 395, which is they're trying to protect Confederate statues, and there's HB 599, which they're trying to talk about the gender identity, employment, and employment practices, and then of course we have abortion on the ballot. So there's for the past few years since I've been in Tallahassee, every year there's something that's attacking our freedoms. And I just believe that we just have to make sure that we're educating our people so they know what's going on, break it down. Because, the language can be tough if you're not in that type of setting all the time. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that we need to make sure that we're trying to at least amend or even get on the ballot that we care about, like abortion.
Now, Jovan, you touched on something that we got to drill down on this one, Barbara. We got to drill. What are you talking about, this Confederate statute bill in Florida? Go a little deeper for me in that. Explain that to me. What's going on?
So they're trying to protect any statue that was, I'll say, quotation marks, historical. I'm so sorry. So, they're trying to protect anything that's historical, and they're going to punish anyone who's trying to remove it. So, they believe it's, really strong history. It means a lot to many people, and you can just be punished. I think you'll become a felony if you were trying to, vandalize the property or even do anything that might damage the property as well.
Now, they know that these statues to these traitors, this is all part of the South's continuing effort to win the Civil War by celebrating all of their Confederate generals who fought to keep our people enslaved, right? And they want us to sit back silently and salute these statues instead of our doing what we are doing, which is demanding to be taken down and gotten rid of so that we can move forward into the future, not be bound and tied to just nothing but the past and this, racist, white supremacist system that was the Confederacy. So tell us, I think this is just ridiculous. Tell us more about, what people have been saying on your campus to stop this.
Oh, so yeah, definitely. I just graduated in December, so these bills just been published. I'll say the biggest thing that we've been trying to prepare for was just trying to make sure that we have more workshops, make sure that we're more engaged, because we do have an election that's coming up in November, a presidential election. However, we're trying to teach people that it's not just about the presidential election, because we sure know who the president is, but we can't name 5 commissioners in our city.
My.
Yeah, so we have to go to City Hall, even at the state capitol. Even in the local community, we have to make sure that we're present. So the biggest thing is we're trying to increase our presence. So that's with NAACP, with the College Democrats and other social programs, and even with our school, we want to make sure that we are just doing what we need to do, because the biggest thing is we have elections and then we forget about all the work that we have done. And we just want to make sure that that's not continuing no more.
Webertline, one of the interesting things is that, we always hear people rolling out this narrative saying that the young voters don't vote. Young people don't go to vote. They won't go to vote. Well, when we start talking about this Dobbs decision and we're talking about, the reproductive rights for women, it's your generation that's most affected by this decision. Is it your feeling that the abortion issue, the reproductive rights issue, is going to be driving young voters like yourself to the poll?
Yes. I definitely believe with everything that is taking place right now, especially with us going backwards instead of forward, the reproduction of rights is definitely going to drive Gen Z and millennials to the polls because of what we saw in Ohio. I believe it was Ohio that took place 3 weeks ago, where a woman who ended up miscarrying, where she was charged
Yes.
to charge for a miscarriage. And we saw that was like, there's no way. The woman who was also I believe, in Texas who had to go to the judge and receive approval for a death-threatening, a death-threatening birth. And it was still like, okay, yes, you may die, but still push. And she had to go to court where they were able to drop it. And we saw that was like, there's no way. That is insane. They have dehumanized the bodies of women as if we are just as a object or someone or something that's just going to birth babies despite any health conditions. So with everything that is taking place, Gen Z millennials, Black women, Hispanic women, minorities are going to drive to the poll at a high rate because we need to make sure that there's an end to this.
And you know what most people don't know, Webertline, is that in Ohio, the highest cohort that voted in favor of issue 1, which is to give women their reproductive choice when it comes to the issue of abortion, that 84% of all blacks voted in favor of that amendment, of that, issue number 1. And so part of the voter suppression we see is designed to keep us from voting as we do progressively on so many of these social issues. And they rather, see us disenfranchised and not voting than to see us voting and saying that we are going to make sure that women have their choice. So what does it mean to you when you hear that African Americans are at the forefront of pushing for women's choice?
I would say I see there's a change coming, but I also feel like Black women trying to change the atmosphere, that there's going to be more pushback to put a muzzle on our mouth. There's going to be an outrage of violence to stop Black women from getting to the polls. Trying to close polls earlier. If they're not closing polls earlier, they're going to say that water and food or snacks are prohibited from the voting polls, just because they know Black people technically will stay out there. But if they're thirsty, they're going to probably leave the lines, go get water. So they'll try to do so many curveballs to prevent women or prevent Black people in general from voting, specifically women. Just because women are for the rights of their body, and they do not like that.
Right. And Daryl, women, Black women are so outstanding, of course, when it comes to the issue of voting. We vote, at a higher percentage than any other group in the country, and we vote, very strongly for what we consider policies in our favor. But our Black men aren't too far behind now. Don't let people think that they make you think there's this big gap between the two. Jovan, what would you say to the people who just heard us earlier talking about this Gen Z training, and they're like scratching their heads thinking, what does that mean? Should I really go? That's in the, I'm going to probably, be in school, or I may be working during that time. Is it worthwhile? Should I do this? What is your answer?
Well, I would say the training in the fall was phenomenal. To be in a room with people from all over the United States in the same age group, fighting the same fight, was just motivating for me. And I believe the training, we was able to pour into one another and take back what we learned for the betterment for our communities. And just to have the leadership from you, Miss Barbara, and Daryl, it was so much passion. You guys brought in, professionals from everywhere. I would say leaders from big companies. We even saw Ben Crump, and that was something that was cool to me. And it, like you said before, it's an intense training. Classroom style, like you said, but you guys gave us tools, resources, and then the network. We didn't leave just not knowing everybody in the room, but we actually, I like the fact that we had like a book with everybody contact, and I can always call someone if I need help. fighting for something.
Yeah, and Webertline, one of the interesting parts of the training that you went through in Washington, D.C. is that training that we do during that weekend is during the Congressional Black Caucus weekend. And so there are all kinds of opportunities that are presented to our folks that are being trained to meet members of the Congressional Black Caucus, to go to some of the workshops that they're given and some of the seminars that they're providing. What did you find to be one of the highlights of your training experience?
I would say it was a life-changing experience. I'll definitely say watching the movies and videos about voting, seeing how not much has changed, seeing the way that they are implementing barriers or seeing the way that they have prevented people in Georgia, I believe that caught my attention the most, where people who were registered to vote for years, all of a sudden they were no longer found in the voting registration polls. They were turned down and said that they are disqualified from voting. They were saying that their address was changed. So just seeing so many things of how that has changed my perspective, that changed how I view voting and the importance of voting, how our grandparents who are usually at the polls every year or whenever it's time to vote, they are being said that your voting does not exist here. So I'll definitely say also that was one of my greatest highlights, but also at the CLC. When I was at the CLC, I met many great people outside of the program where I was able to connect and actually get their phone number, follow them on LinkedIn, and they are now still people that I do connect with that I met in Washington, D.C., and have it would not been for this program, I would have never ran into them to meet them. And I'll definitely say it was not only beneficial for me, but it was beneficial for also my members who are part of the class with me as well, because they were invited to the White House and they also received internships from the CLC.
Absolutely. From the CBC, they were amazing. And I want people to know that if you're listening right now and you're interested in our upcoming training that's going to be held April the 3rd through the 8th in the mighty city of Phoenix, Arizona, during the HBCU All-Stars game, we would like to encourage you to go to tjcoalition.org, tjcoalition.org, and read up about this training opportunity and apply. You only have until January the 26th. Deadline is serious. We are not changing it, so be sure to use your abilities now. Daryl, as we get ready to head into the second segment of the show, why don't we get the contact information for you, Webertline? How can people get in touch with you so that they can, learn more about being the kind of amazing activist you are?
_W Dorlus on Instagram.
And tell them how to spell Dorlus.
DORLUS, D as in dog, O as in octopus, R as in rhino, L as in lemur, U as a unicorn, S as in snake.
There you go. There you go.
And the same question for you, Jovan. How do people get in contact with you? They're hearing these folks from Florida talking and saying, well, I need to get in contact with this brother. How do they get in contact with you, Jovan?
Definitely. You can reach me on Instagram as well. K as kangaroo, V as in vernacular, N as in no, G as in go, dot, J, O _ so it would be KVNG.JO_. And that's my Instagram. And that's the best way you can contact me.
All right now. Well, how do we thank the two of you enough for your leadership, for your wisdom, for all that you're doing, for the messages that we heard from you today, and that is we won't allow the barriers to stop us, that we are going to fight and train and educate and help people, and that you got to vote down ballot. I heard that a lot. So this has been a powerful, segment of our show. We are grateful to the two of you. We got to have you come back and tell us more. And Jovan, I want to see that training program agenda that you use. It sounds like it